From Chesapeake, Virginia, WHKT presents Sports Scene. Sports Scene features local, regional, and nationally acclaimed guests and excellent interviews. Follow Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick. Now here is Greg Bicouvaris.
And we are live as always on this November 22nd. Happy Thanksgiving Eve to everyone. Hope everybody is safe and has a wonderful break. Sports Scene is an interview show each Wednesday from 12 to 1. Also watch sports highlights on nnpstv.com. Tell your friends about gjbtv.com and click the YouTube link on the homepage for archived audio and video and Sports Scene shows. Twitter, at Greg Bick, that's GREGBIC, interactive 24/7, even when we don't do the show. And you can see the rest of my Twitter handles on gjbtv.com in the contact section. Thank you to our military for what you do 24/7. Guest lineup presented by Outback Steakhouse in Kempsville. Sponsors on gjbtv.com, marketplace sponsors, and Hampton Roads onlinemall.com. Phone line presented by Spaghetti Eddie's with 2 locations in the South Side. Show presented by Hampton Roads Sports Media Hall of Fame, where you can see the 2018 inaugural class on the website. That's hrsmhof.com. ODU is 1 win from being bowl eligible. The Giants and Redskins tomorrow night. Ohio State, Michigan Saturday. A lot going on. Great interviews, business segments, highlights, commentary. What teased me off? Thank you for making the habit to listen to Sports Scene weekly, and we love our regulars and newcomers. Jim Ducibella will be on with us after these messages.
Catch up on archived editions of Sports Scene by going to gjbtv.com and clicking the YouTube image on the homepage. Now back to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris.
All right, back live right here on 1650 AM, 92.5 FM, tunein.com. Type in WHKT to listen on your phone or your computer. One of the busiest traffic days in the country is today. I want to thank all of our great locals and tourists for listening as well. One of the remaining shows left from Red Zebra Broadcasting is Sports Scene. Another gentleman that did a show there recently, back several years ago, Virginia State Hall of Fame, Hampton Roads Sports Media Hall of Fame, and of course, longtime columnist and writer with the Virginia Pilot. Let's welcome Jim Ducibella. How are you, my friend?
Great. I'm doing great. How are you, sir?
Good. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Before we talk about your Thanksgiving treats toward the end of the segment, let's go ahead and get right to it. The Redskins, who you covered for so many years for the Pilot, find themselves a better team than last year, but their record's not showing it. They're still not finding a way to win the close games, 4-6.
Yeah, it's really difficult to assess their season and the job that Jay Gruden has done with so many injuries. They just put 4 starting players on injured reserve yesterday, all of whom were starters. They already had 3 or 4 starters on injured reserve. They lost their number 1 draft pick, Allen, who was, I thought, having a really great rookie season. He's out injured. And I think that Gruden has done a pretty remarkable job of even keeping them competitive. I'm not sure how many other teams could have lost the number of starting players that they did and gone into Seattle and won, gone to Oakland and won. Now, they kicked away a couple of games, most recently the one on Sunday. But I think that they're all, if you keep 99% of your guys healthy, which most playoff-type teams do on an annual basis, I think this team can compete to at least make a move in the playoffs. They're certainly not a Super Bowl team. I don't think the front office did them any favors by removing Garcon last year. I thought he was the glue that sort of kept the whole offense together. Jordan Reed is not on IR, but he's constantly injured and, as such, of limited value to them. So I think that, people were talking already about this should be Gruden's last year, and I certainly don't agree with that. I certainly think he's earned the opportunity for one more year and the hope that most of their star players can remain healthy, and maybe they can supplement at the wide receiver spot. I haven't been too impressed with Terrell Pryor, and I don't think anybody else has either. And now he's on IR. And he was on a 1-year contract, so he may be low-hanging fruit.
Right, he'll probably be gone after this year. But you look at the Redskins receivers; they do have some talent there with Davis, but you lose so many great players; it's hard to make it up as well. And you look at the remaining schedule: the Giants twice, the Cowboys, the Broncos, the Chargers, the Cardinals. No specific order who they play, but I tell you what, they better not take the Giants lightly tomorrow.
No, the Giants have always given them fits, and most recently, of course, the final game of last regular season, when the Giants had already clinched a playoff spot, had nothing to play for. Washington desperately needed to win the game in order to qualify for the playoffs, and the Giants came into FedEx Field and wound up denying them a playoff spot. You know, it's the Giants, Redskins. It's an NFC East rivalry game, and the teams don't necessarily have to be particularly good, but you do have to take them seriously. You're absolutely right.
I tell you, talk about how the tickets are going way down low, too, Jim, as we're talking to Jim Ducibella, who worked for the Virginian Pilot and the Ledger Star for decades, for so many years. When I worked a 1 o'clock game, it's fun. Even a 4:25 game, as you know, coming back to Newport News or Williamsburg, we don't get home till late at night. But what's the motivation for the fans there in the DMV to be sitting on the couch having Thanksgiving dinner? Oh, let's go to a Redskins game that starts at 8:30 at night to see a 4-6 team play a 2-8 team.
And there is no motivation. And I think if the NFL were wise, they wouldn't schedule games like this, and they certainly wouldn't schedule Thursday games after the team has played on a Sunday. This league that talks so much about how interested they are in player safety, how interested they are in the quality of the product they put out, it's all nonsense when you look at a situation like coming up tomorrow, where teams that just played on Sunday are back playing on Thursday. It's all a huge money grab, but there is no incentive for people sitting in their living rooms in Washington, a game that's on television, to get up and fight your way through the traffic, if there is indeed as much as usual, and watch a couple of, at this point, mediocre teams play. And I suspect that, I'm not sure what they've whittled the attendance or the capacity of FedEx Field down to now, probably somewhere in the 60s. I'd be very surprised if there were 40,000 people there tomorrow.
Right, exactly. Especially so late at night, too. For years, we still had the Thursday games, but they were day games, one on CBS, one on Fox, whatever, and people weren't complaining. This is all about TV. Yes, they're big television markets. There'll still be a big rating for this game, but for the local fans, you really have to feel for them as well, playing an 8:30 game. And that's another thing, too, Jim. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but the human body is not meant to be exerting that type of energy in football at 8:30 or 9 o'clock. I know Monday Night Football for decades was at 9 o'clock at night, but I think that's part of the reason why we have so many injuries, because of night football in general.
Well, night football in general, and I just read a story a couple of weeks ago about the impact of Thursday football games, and written by Richard Spencer of Seattle Seahawks, and he talked about the normal NFL week, and you play Sunday. Monday, you can barely get out of bed. You get out of bed, you go into the training camp, you get your baths and rub-downs and massages, and you try to work the kinks and the lactic acid out of your body. Tuesday, you're off, but you still have to go in and continue to get treatment. Wednesday normally is the first day you start to feel halfway decent, and of course you have usually a light workout and skull sessions. Thursday is the first day where you feel like, okay, my body's almost recovered. Well, here you are throwing these guys back out onto the field again, and a good portion of them, I would argue, are not fully recovered. And I do think it adds to the injury avalanche that we've seen. I have no idea what the Thursday night ratings are. I wouldn't suspect that they were particularly robust. And I don't understand, and particularly tomorrow, I don't understand why they can't play the game at 4 o'clock, even when the Cowboys are hosting their annual Thanksgiving game. The game usually was starting at 4 o'clock. People could go to the game, and they could have a late Thanksgiving Eve dinner. all of that's impossible if you're not starting until 8:30.
That's a great point, because CBS and Fox compete against each other every Sunday at 1 and 4:25. So what's the difference for tomorrow? That's a great point. Talking to Jim Ducibella, let's get into a lot of nuggets here too. Goodell and, of course, Jerry Jones. It seems like Jones has backed off a little bit, but boy, he sure is not happy with Goodell and that potential big salary, wants a jet for life and all these incentives he wants.
Well, he's never been happy with anybody who was commissioner. He blocked part of the coalition that blocked Jim Finks to become the successor to Pete Rozelle. He wasn't particularly crazy about Paul Tagliabue. And now Goodell has drawn his ire, in part because of the 6-game suspension to Ezekiel Elliott for alleged domestic abuse. But I think the bottom line here is, I don't know how much support he's got from the rest of owners, because Goodell has driven the league's revenue past $15 billion annually. And that's what these guys are. These are businessmen. They're interested in making money. And Goodell has delivered, and consistently delivered for them. And I don't see, I can understand why he's backed off a little bit. My suspicion is he doesn't have nearly as much support as he thought he had back in the day when he was at the center of the Chicago 11 that blocked Jim Finks as a successor to Pete Rozelle.
Greg Bicouvaris talking to Jim Ducibella right here live on 92.5 FM, 1650 AM, tunein.com. Type in WHKT to listen on your phone or computer. This will be archived later on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Always a pleasure to talk to Jim. And this has been kind of a blah year in general, Jim. Like you said, the TV ratings have been down. Of course, the Patriots are starting to trend right now. The Eagles have played very well this year. But other than a couple of storylines like that, most of the teams are just mediocre. You look at the Chargers, moved to L.A. That hasn't gone that well for attendance. The Rams have done very good. Their attendance has not been great. And then you see a guy like Marshawn Lynch, who doesn't even respect the United States of America, who stands during the Mexico national anthem, but not the United States. If he doesn't like this country, go somewhere else, is my opinion.
Well, I think that's the main story of the season, is the kneel stand for the national anthem controversy. And I think that has certainly overshadowed all else, that any other storyline. Yeah, the Patriots are the Patriots, and I think we've sort of become numb to the fact that they're really good every year, and they're Super Bowl contenders every year. Philadelphia is a kind of a feel-good story with Carson Wentz and all. But the overriding story of the year is the players and their attitude toward the American flag and some of the things that they say are going on in this country in terms of the way African Americans are treated. And I think that there's a great deal of misunderstanding about the original intention of Colin Kaepernick. And now the players are at a point where there is no exit strategy for them. If they start to stand up for the anthem, they're hypocrites, because you were kneeling 3 weeks ago and now you're standing. What changed? Nothing's changed about the political climate of the country. If you continue to kneel, you're traitors in the view of some people, and anti-American in the view of some people. So they really don't have an exit strategy. I see that the NFL is seriously considering a change to the pregame retinue, and they may very well have the players stay in the locker room until after the anthem and then come out for player introductions. And I think that a lot of colleges do that, if I'm not mistaken, and not out of any fear for somebody kneeling or not respecting the flag. But I think that there's got to be some compromise here. The owners and the players have to come to some agreement as to how they're going to handle this situation. Both parties lose in the current political climate. The owners are seen as soft. Donald Trump is, ripping Goodell. And I think that, and then, of course, the players, I've already described what I think is happening with the players in terms of the minds of a great deal, many of the fans. So I believe that ultimately, particularly if the players continue to kneel, which I don't see them having much choice but to do, they're going to keep them in the locker room until after the anthem coming up next year.
Very good. Talking to Jim Ducibella, you mentioned Kaepernick. I mean, who's got a better chance to play, Jim? Kaepernick or RG3? I mean, both guys are very young, and it looks like they're both done for different reasons.
Well, I think RG3's undoing, of course, was arrogance, and the fact that I read some of the stuff about the things he was tweeting a couple of weeks ago, at the end of the Redskins-Cowboys game. And the one thing that stood out for me was the fact that he said that he'd learned a tremendous amount during this exercise of trying to find a new job and a new team, and he'd learned a lot about how better to prepare for the NFL and tryouts and things. And I'm even starting to watch film. And I thought to myself, well, is there anything more basic to understanding the game of football from the standpoint of a quarterback than watching film, studying film? Don't we have a tremendous history of quarterbacks who brought film home with them and studied it in the evenings after practice and after all the skull sessions? You're just now getting around to watching film. So I think that's been his undoing. I certainly think his lack of preparation. I'm not sure how much he's got left physically because of the leg injuries that he suffered, and of course, I guess the faux concussions, depending on whose version of that story you believe. Kaepernick, to me, is completely political, and I think that he's persona non grata in terms of the league. What general manager, what owner is going to hire this guy, bring him in, and risk even fewer people coming to the stadium to see him play? And I believe that I just think he's done. I mean, if you look at the spate of injuries among quarterbacks, you look at the guys they've brought in to replace them and who are now starting in this league, and you look at Kaepernick sitting on the side, and you say, well, he's certainly better than this guy, he's better than this guy, he's better than this guy, but he made a fatal mistake in terms of as far as the ownership and the fans are concerned, and I think he's paying a pretty steep price.
Yeah, he's the one who's paying the price. I mean, the other guys aren't giving him any charity from their paychecks at all. You're exactly right. Talking to Jim Ducibella, we're right here on Wednesday, November 22nd. This is Sports Scene. Greg Bicouvaris along with Joe Daniel and Jim Ducibella at 1222, 1650 AM, 92.5 FM as well. In all your years of covering sports, and of course, I've always been impressed by you because you and I have seen each other at various theaters and shows, and I've seen you at the Wells Theater, that you've always branched out of sports. It doesn't consume your life. You don't eat, drink, and sleep it, but when you had it as a career, you were very, very good at it. Of course, Hall of Famer for the media as well as the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame. Have you ever seen a more narcissistic human being than this bald character who's the father of the Lakers and the UCLA kid that was not grateful whether you like Trump or not? If it wasn't for Trump, those kids would still be there.
Yeah, you'll probably lose half of your audience here, but there's one thing I agree with Donald Trump on so far since November, and that guy is an ungrateful fool, and I think that's the latest description Trump used on the old man. And no, I've never seen anybody more needlessly narcissistic. And now his kids can play. I mean, I've seen a few Lakers games, and his kid can play, but. Nonetheless, he seems like a caricature almost of everything that's wrong with the sport parent. And, I don't understand. He said, well, Trump was going over to China anyway. He didn't go over there just to rescue my son, and why are you only talking about my son? Well, we're only talking about your son because you're the only parent that's running his mouth nonstop.
Right. And not to mention, Trump was in Korea as well as Vietnam. He wasn't just there in China. So the guy did not do no research at all. And, of course, he bargained for all three kids, not just his kid. The bottom line is they shoplifted. It was on camera. Look at what happened to the kid that went to UVA that was in North Korea. He's not alive anymore.
That's exactly right. And the president did that family and those three families a huge favor by negotiating and getting those kids out of there before things got totally out of hand for them, and they never saw the light of day again. And I don't know what to make of old man Ball. I really don't. I'm with you. I've never seen anybody more narcissistic, and I've been around all kinds of athletes, and I've certainly seen athletes who may have been as narcissistic, but not their parents. And this guy's just totally off the charts.
Yeah, Terrell Owens is a choir boy compared to this guy.
Yeah, and Randy Moss and
exactly.
And those guys. Yeah, this guy's in a league all of his own.
He is.
So, I guess my wife was a school teacher for many, many years, and she would come home and say, "Boy, these NFL coaches are in for a real rude awakening when they get some of the children that I'm teaching right now, because they all come from this sort of entitlement attitude." And et cetera, et cetera. And this guy certainly would fall into that category, as he thinks the world owes him and owes his family something, and he has no problem demanding it as opposed to perhaps negotiating it.
A few more topics with Jim Ducibella. Thank you for his time, his talent, and his treasure as well. I want to get your thoughts, too. In all the years you were at the Pilot, of course, the heyday, and I'm not a big hockey fan. Before we talk about Old Dominion, I want to talk about Jimmy Laycock as well. The Admirals had a solid attendance. Now they sue the Tides. They got bad management. There's no radio broadcast at all this year. Is that team going to survive? The Pilot barely covers them, as you know. They put them in the brief section. It seems like they're borderline irrelevant now.
Yeah, when they were AHL, I had some hopes for the franchise. I mean, there have been two golden periods in the era of that franchise. First, when they had Brophy and they were in the ECHL and they were playoff contenders and they were going to Charleston and playing the Stingrays and you had reason to think, okay, and you saw some guys advance through from the ECHL up to the next level and the next level. And you actually thought you were looking at something developmental, of course, that was very, very entertaining, in large part due to Brophy. And then I think when they got to the AHL, there was a sense of legitimacy. Hey, these guys are one step away from the big show, if you will, and they're worth watching for that reason, because you never know when they're going to come back or when they're going to go, and that thing. And then since this latest drop back to the ECHL, I just think there's a complete total. They've redone the arena as best they can with limited funds, and I just think that the air's way out of the balloon. Blake Cullen was a terrific owner. I can't even begin to tell you who owns this team now and what their involvement in the community is. I mean, Blake lived 2-3 blocks from Scope, and he was actively involved in every single aspect of the Hampton Roads community. I think these guys pretty much, they act like they're just carpetbaggers. We own the team, we'll throw it in there, and whatever happens, happens. And what's happening is they're averaging, I guess, about 1,000 people a game, and that's pathetic.
Yeah, because that's not how many physically are probably there. A lot of those tickets are still without people actually physically going to the games, too, as well. And I think that's part of the issue with Old Dominion as well. And when Ken Young had them in the Tides, they were okay. But now I think they're not going to sustain at all. A few more nuggets real quick. Jimmy Laycock had a bad year this year. He's been the head coach since 1980, almost like Paterno-like. For those that have power are afraid to lose it. I know utmost respect for Laycock, but is he losing touch with the younger players, and how much longer can William Mary hang with this? I know it's not a big pressure, very few games on TV, if any. Is there no pressure, or he can do pretty much whatever he wants to, like Paterno did at Penn State?
Well, I think Jimmy has earned the right to say when he wants to leave. 37 years or so that he's been the coach there. He's taken them through a lot of mediocre days when the facilities were run down, when they didn't have a Jimmy Laycock practice facility. He spearheaded those things. He worked with Walter Zabel intimately throughout Walter's life. And when Walter died, of course, there was a bequeathment to the university that went in part to pay for the renovations at the stadium. He has had. I don't know whether he's lost touch with the kids or not. I mean, the assistant coaches do a great deal of the recruiting. I just think that, and it's not the kind of school where they're going to say, "Hey, we're going to give you a farewell tour." I believe Jimmy when he says, "I'll let you know when I want to go." And I think he's certainly earned that right. There's a new president coming in. They have a new athletic director as of August, I believe. And I don't see either one of them wanting to make a quantum move like that to oust ostensibly the most popular coach they've ever had.
Jim, can you hold during the news break for a couple more questions? All right.
Yeah, sure.
We'll take a news break right here. This is Sports Scene. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone right here on 1650 AM, 92.5 FM, and tunein.com. Type in WHKT. Stay tuned for more, including a Washington Wizards report.
Just getting better. I'm Dave Johnson with the Washington Wizards Shoot-Around Report. Have you noticed Bradley Beal continues to expand his game? He's now the fastest to 700 three-pointers in NBA history, and also it's about the ball handling, the drives to the basket. Head coach Scott Brooks.
Yeah, he went to my point guard camp over the summer, and he's gotten better ball handling, right? Did my Pistol Pete, Maravich drills.
Left wing Bradley Beal. Beal down the baseline left, double team, bounce pass in the paint. Mahimi Slayer, two hands. Jan Mahimi the throw down because Beal was double teamed. He was open. He took advantage. 39-31 Wizards.
Yeah, you know what? He's confident, and give him credit. He's put the work in. along with our staff. They do a good job of keep challenging our guys to get better. He's one of the best pick-and-roll players in the league now.
Bradley Beal cuts his left over. Gortat straight to the basket. Make it score! Gortat the rebound, then the screen. Beal the score.
It's happened over the last year and a half.
Beal and the Wizards play the Hornets tonight, 6:45 on the WGL Washington Wizards Radio Network.
You are listening to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris. Now, back to Greg.
Sounds like we're at Virginia Tech. They're playing UVA tomorrow, of course. Lunchtime, Little Tokyo Buffet, Hibachi, Noodle Soup Bar, Sushi Bar, and Buffet Bar in Hampton. Give them a call at 325-8286, open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner. Jim Ducibella, the Old Dominion trended backwards in football this year. They still can be bowl eligible with another win. Is that what we should expect? Because you look at Old Dominion, I would doubt they can beat several of the good FCS teams like James Madison. They're going to get lucky once in a while and get a bowl in this Conference USA, but it seems like the fans just do not connect with these teams that they play on their schedule at all.
It's a difficult sell, the Conference USA. I, for one, as a season ticket holder, have minimal interest in going to see the other team play. If I go to the games, when I go to the games, I go to see ODU play and to see, hopefully, the development of the program. But it's a tough sell, and I would imagine that within the next couple of years, we're going to see a realignment of this conference and maybe a merger with other conferences and find something more geographically appealing than what we have right now. I have no interest in going to a game in San Antonio, as beautiful a city as that is. I'm not flying all the way over there to watch a football game, but I would certainly drive to JMU. I'd certainly drive to a Liberty. I'd drive to some of those places, even fly to some of those places perhaps that I had a little bit more interest in than UTSA and those types of schools. I think, I don't know if they trended backwards. They had, everything revolves around the quarterback, and obviously they brought in a JUCO kid who did not pan out. They brought in a kid from South Carolina a couple of years ago who did not pan out and eventually transferred. And they had a walk-on, and I don't think they should ever be in a position where the kid playing your most important position on the field is a walk-on that, was lightly recruited, unrecruited by FCS teams, and lightly recruited by FBS teams. Now, he may be a great guy in the locker room, and he may add a tremendous amount to the football team in general, but he shouldn't be out on the field. So they were stuck playing a freshman who's turned out to be increasingly better. He's matured and developed the way you'd like to see a player mature and develop. And I think that given their number of injuries and the kids that will probably be back next year, there's certainly hope for the future in terms of them being more competitive in CUSA.
Let me get your thoughts, too. Big college football game tomorrow. Virginia's bowl eligible. They're finally relevant. The fans, it just seems like they don't attend the games like they used to ever since Groh left, because London did nothing to get attendance up at UVA when he was there, now the Howard coach. But still, the game tomorrow is relevant, Virginia and Virginia Tech.
Yeah, the Virginia team has surprised me. I thought they might win 4 this year, which I guess would have been 100% improvement over the previous year with Bronco. They've surprised me that they've won 6 and they're bowl eligible. I still think that Tech just has more high quality athletes than UVA does. They have a sense of confidence in playing against Virginia that, hey, they can't beat us. They haven't beaten us in 13 years. And I would just be very surprised. I mean, it'll be close. I think Bronco will have them in a very competitive circumstance, but I would be surprised if the Virginia losing streak ended tomorrow.
Jim, I want to ask you again and congratulate you for being in the Hampton Roads Sports Media Hall of Fame with Carol Hudson, with Jennifer Williams, with the late Mike Minium, as well as Bruce Rader. The ceremony will be, of course, at Langley Speedway in 2018 at a date to be announced later in the first quarter of the year. But congratulations to that and all that you've done in the media. And one thing, like I told you earlier in the show, is that you've always gotten it, that sports is a big part of your life, but you and your wife have a quality of life. And to me, that's more important.
Well, I tell you what, I worked a lot of Thanksgiving football games, and I can tell you that I am immensely grateful to be sitting at home tomorrow and not in a press box somewhere, wandering, away from my family and away from my friends. And so 27 years in Hampton Roads and another 3 in Washington, and 30 years was enough for anybody. And I'm enjoying what I do now, which is, general assignment stuff for William and Mary, and very little sports, and working on other outside projects that are of great interest to me. And the quality of my life has improved greatly. And to answer your first point, I'm extremely pleased to be going into this new Hall of Fame, and looking forward to bringing my family into Langley and for the induction.
One more thing about the Giants-Redskins. Of course, Norm Snead's from this area. He played for both teams, the Giants and the Redskins, up until 76. He even played with Harry Carson when Harry Carson was there in 76. Your thoughts about the guys from this area? Chris Hamburger played for the Redskins. There have been guys like Snead and Hamburger who really made this rivalry relevant.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think that Snead probably made 2 rivalries relevant when he was traded to the Eagles for Sonny Jurgensen, and then when he went to the Giants later in his career. Hamburger, I don't think a lot of people even recognized or remembered that Hamburger played down in this area until he went into the Hall of Fame. Back in those days, I don't think that we were nearly as enamored with where somebody came from or what part of the country they came from as they were perhaps where they played college football, if they were at Notre Dame or Alabama or Southern Cal or something like that, maybe North Carolina back then as well. So I think, but those guys absolutely did more than their share to stoke the rivalry, and frankly, to make this area a Redskin area, even though I think that as the population sort of disperses and people come in from other parts of the country, it's less so than it was. But I think it's still predominantly a Redskin fan base area.
Yeah, Snead did play in the early 60s with the Redskins, but you look at Snead and Jim Hart and Roman Gabriel and even Joe Ferguson played for the Bills. These quarterbacks played for decades upon decades back then.
Yeah, they did, and defensive linemen were 230 pounds or 240 pounds, not 305 pounds, and ran like freight trains. And so I think the amount, Hamburger was a very small linebacker. Chris might have been, 215 maybe? And, of course, was famous for the clothesline tackles that back in those days were illegal. I think the quarterbacks today take a much greater pounding than they did back in that day. The players are so much bigger. Every snap is an automobile accident at the line of scrimmage, and then I think that the life expectancy of running backs and quarterbacks is significantly less now, with exceptions, of course, but significantly less now than it used to be.
Jim, happy Thanksgiving. Tell us your favorite Thanksgiving dish.
Oh, my gosh. Well, it was my mother's sausage and wild rice stuffing with green and red peppers, mushrooms, onion, and 2 or 3 different types of rice, and all mixed together. And my mother's been dead 30 years now, but I make that every other year for our family Thanksgiving. And it's the first thing that goes.
Yeah, nobody can cook like Mom. All the best, my friend, and we'll be in touch.
Too.
We'll be in touch.
All right, Greg. Thanks a million.
Thank you. Jim Ducibella right there from the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame and Hampton Roads Sports Media Hall of Fame. 1650 AM, 92.5 FM. Sports Scene rolls on after this break.
Now back to Greg Bicouvaris in the Hampton Roads OnlineMall.com studios. It's now time for Greg's Highlights, presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com.
And GJBTV.com. Click the YouTube link for archive shows. Thank you to Jim Ducibella, our first guest as well. Save the date. We'll be back next Wednesday for Sports Scene from 12 to 1. HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Browse, shop, visit, bookmark it. gjbtv.com, and also hrsmhof.com. Other sports news, big weekend in the NFL, 3 games tomorrow total on Fox, CBS, and NBC. Redskins 4-6. Season is on the line against the Giants tomorrow. Celtics playing very well in the NBA, as are the ODU men's basketball team as well. Our good friends at Craft Burger Bar, 1706 Mediterranean Avenue in Virginia Beach. Go by and see Jamie and the great staff. Get a nice beverage, excellent appetizers like Kraft chili and fried house pickles, the Wagyu burgers, Coronado, the Greek, the pepper, the shroom, Sunrise, great cheese as well, and toppings, Carolina snap dogs, chicken sandwiches, salads, vegan burgers, house-cut fries, beer battered onion rings, right there at 1706 Mediterranean Avenue in Virginia Beach. Craft Burger Bar. Everybody will be tired of turkey by the end of tomorrow night. Let's welcome Anthony Checchio from 757 Sports Collectibles in Virginia Beach. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Greg. Thanks for having me on again this year.
Very good. My pleasure, my friend, CEO and founder. This is your time of the year. All the holiday specials. We're right in the holiday season. What's in store at the store?
So we have a large collection of both signed and unsigned collectibles, sports novelty items, anything that they just throw a logo on. We have a lot of apparel in this year, which is kind of new for us. And then the real thing that we do that's kind of our specialty also is special order items for people. So if you see it online, we can typically get it for you. We can bring it into the store, normally save you on shipping costs. Get it for you quick. We get free 2-day shipping on most of our special order items. So if you need something, we're your one-stop shop, and we can get it for you.
And, of course, he's located, folks, at 2686 Virginia Beach Boulevard. Phone number is 340-4016. Website is 757SC.com. That's SC like South Carolina. Talking to Anthony Checchio, the CEO and founder. There's something for everyone there. It's a perfect gift for anybody.
There definitely is. The tough thing with this area is obviously we have a lot of people from everywhere, so we pretty much are forced to carry almost every team, that especially NFL teams. We have a strong selection also, though, of MLB and NHL. And like I said, we do have a little NBA, but for those items that we don't have, we can always get them for you. And then we also have a pretty strong selection of NCAA teams. We do focus a lot on Old Dominion because it's the local team, and then we also have Virginia Tech, UVA, a lot of the SEC and ACC.
So really, there is something for everyone, of course. And talk about your store hours here in the next few weeks.
So we're actually expanding the hours for the holiday season, and during the week, we're going to be 10:30 to 7:30. Saturday, we're still the same, 10 to 6. But then Sundays, which we are normally not open, but we will be open during the holiday season from 12 to 6 on Sundays. And we do have NFL Sunday Ticket in the store, so we'll throw your game on when you come in if you want.
Folks, great place to buy a gift. 757 Sports Collectibles, 2686 Virginia Beach Boulevard, right across from RK Chevrolet. Very convenient off the interstate. Phone number is 340-4016. Talk about any social media that you're on, Anthony.
We're on the main 3. Facebook is 757 Sports Collectibles. Twitter is 757SC. And then Instagram is also 757 Sports Collectibles. Facebook's probably the number one to follow for us because we update it the most, but we do update the other ones probably on a weekly basis. And then the other thing I did want to add is if you ever have any charity needs, we also have a charity auction program, which we help out a lot of charities over the year, lift their fundraising goals and achieve them. And then we also have started doing some custom mini helmets for the high schools in the area. So this year we did First Colonials, Senior Gifts, and we also did Nansman River last year. So hopefully we get a few more teams interested, and that would be great.
Yeah, our producer's looking right at it right now, the college shop, the collections over at 757 Sports Collectibles. That's 757 Sports Collectibles. And, of course, thank you for all that you do. It's really kind of hard to gauge, like you said, because we live in a military area. You would think the Redskins, Cowboys, Steelers are still probably 3 of the most popular teams.
They are. They're definitely the top 3, and then NFC East is always strong. I'm anticipating Philadelphia Eagles will be very strong this year since they're obviously dominating. But then outside of that, New England Patriots been good for a long time, so we have a good fan base. And then Oakland Raiders really strong in the 80s, so they have their lifelong fans that still come out and buy everything no matter what the record looks like.
Anthony, all the best. Leave us with a final word.
everybody that's out there, if you need a spot to either buy a gift for yourself or for anybody else, that's you're looking for Christmas, come on in to 757 Sports Collectibles. Come meet me. I'm always in. I'm always working the register. I can always get anything you need for you. For clothes, 757 SC is always open, or sc.com, and just find us and shop local this holiday season.
Absolutely. Shop local, folks. Phone number 340-4016. If you can't find the website, Google it, 757 Sports Collectibles. Anthony, have a wonderful Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Greg, thanks so much. You have a great holiday, too.
You too. My pleasure. And really, that's a great thing, too. And he made a good point, Joe Daniel. Shop local. Support the local businesses that make it happen.
Absolutely. It's very important to support local businesses around you. We have these huge department stores, but at the same time, you want to help the people who are here, who are local. They know you. Their kids could go to school with your kids. You want to definitely try to support them. Also, if you don't mind, I did see on the website that they are having a promo where it's $10 off a purchase of $65 or more. And this is a limited time offer, so definitely go to 757sc.com and you can save, if you use the promo code that they have posted on the website, you can save $10 off a purchase of $65 or more.
And Joe Daniel and I will be giving some big announcements in mid-December about how Sports Scene will be more interactive for you in 2018 as well. I want to thank our good friends at CP Shuckers, Locals Tradition, Shore Drive, Pacific Avenue, delicious food, great apps, steak bites, sandwiches, burgers, specials, all the games on TV. Go by and see Matt, Mark, Chef Leon at CP Shuckers in Virginia Beach, 2 excellent locations as well. Let's get to what teased me off right here on Sports Scene.
What tees you off? Presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com.
And we'll give a little appetizer first from our good friends at Buffalo Wild Wings. Joe Daniel, what question presented by Buffalo Wild Wings and Newport News? What are you the most thankful for in general, and what is your favorite Thanksgiving dish?
I'm very thankful for family, but I also have religious convictions myself. So I'm thankful for my Christianity belief and everything that entails, and salvation and Christ and all that. But definitely, in a natural sense, definitely thankful for family and the support that they have given me in pursuing something that is a passion of mine, which is radio. And so I very much love and appreciate my wife, and very thankful for her.
You don't need to have an audition to be on this show either.
No, right. And as far as my favorite food goes, I'm a sucker for some stovetop stuffing.
Oh, really?
I love that stuff. I don't know. That salty, buttery, garlicky, steamed croutons I love. I think it tastes real good.
I like homemade stuffing myself. And, of course, my mom made some really, really good stuffing back in the day. I even like tossed salad, but definitely turkey and stuffing as well. Our good friends at Buffalo Wild Wings, lunch, dinner, appetizers, mozzarella sticks, salads, boneless and traditional wings, great burgers, wraps, sandwiches, tenders, Macs, beverages, desserts, kids menu, games on TV, wings, beer, sports. Go by and see Paul and the great staff right next to Patrick Henry Mall at Newport News at 12150 Jefferson Avenue. Go by and see UVA and Tech on Friday, and all the great college and NFL like Ohio State, Michigan on Saturday, and of course the NFL on Sunday on Fox, CBS, and NBC at Buffalo Wild Wings in Newport News. Okay, of course, what teased me off? Athletes that continue time and again to take a knee. Guess what? America is tuning and turning the other way.
Yeah, I have my own personal opinions about this, but at the same time, I think the people have spoken, like you said. People are tuning in for a moment. They see what's going on, and they're over it. They're there to watch an entertaining game, not to be subjected to political movements.
LeVar Ball, okay, you're not playing in the NBA. You're an ungrateful narcissist. Your kid was in China shoplifting. If it was not for Trump, who happened to be there, he would still be there. Not a good scene. Like I told Jim Ducibella, look what happened to the kid that went to UVA and to North Korea. Boy, he wished he'd be at Thanksgiving. He's no longer alive right now. Yeah. And how about this? Did you see the news recently where the North Korean military guard tried to escape North Korea? They got it on YouTube and video as well.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen that, but I'll look it up.
He got shot at, but he did survive.
Wow, that's amazing.
Talk about guts.
Yeah, seriously. But to let you know how bad it is, too. Yeah.
And they were videotaping the whole thing. as well. Okay, people walking around in crowded parking lots, let's say at big box stores, in the dark with headphones on, not paying attention to cars parking all around them.
Yeah, no, and I've said this before, but I go to TCC, and a lot of the students that go there are just walking around with headphones in, down looking at their phones, and completely oblivious to what's going on around them. And, I mean, it's young adults driving, not much experience driving at all, and yet they're surrounded with all of these other kids who are just not paying attention at all with headphones on, looking at their phone, and they're just meandering across the parking lot with not a care in the world. Yeah, with not a care in the world. And then here comes this other vehicle whipping around the corner. It's an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah, between that, the pedestrians walking, not paying attention, cars speeding in the parking lots, and it gets dark early.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you need to be just aware of your surroundings. And I try to tell my daughter this when we go grocery shopping or something. You know, she just walks out in front of people in the aisle, and I'm like, look around you. Just don't look at where you're going. Pay attention to what's going on around you.
You're exactly right.
The world is bigger than just your perspective.
Right, because grocery carts can be dangerous too.
Yeah.
For kids especially,
Yeah.
you know. What else teased me off? Just sarcastic remarks in general. We talk about sarcastic remarks like the entitlement. I mean, where's the sarcasm coming from?
Yeah.
Like, you know, oh, really? Oh. Instead of listening to your comment, they'll say, okay, did you even hear what I said?
Yeah, it's sarcasm, but also for me is passive aggressiveness.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big one for me. It's just people who are so passive aggressive. That kind of teased me off a little bit.
How about long checkout lines at retail shops? A friend of mine went to one of the big box stores and went to go cash a check, and they just disappeared. I mean, it's like they know they're getting paid. It's like hide and go seek in Walmart.
Yeah, customer service is obviously a big deal, but yeah, absolutely.
I like Restaurant Depot. I shop at the one in Virginia Beach, but there is only one in Hampton Roads. I talked to a poor guy yesterday who drove all the way from North Carolina to buy his stuff at Restaurant Depot. Talk about a monopoly when certain chains have just one store in an area as big as this area as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy, especially in in an internet age. You'd think that you'd just be able to order it online or have it shipped to you, but maybe it doesn't work that way in the restaurant.
I'm going to get your thoughts about that in just a second, about the ordering online. I want to thank our good friends at Panera Bread. All items 100% clean. Go by and see the great staff over there. They deliver catering. Take advantage of rapid pickup options, soups, sandwiches, salads, bagels, bread, smoothies, great holiday gift items as well, excellent cookies, breakfast sandwiches, desserts, refreshing beverages. Go by and see Brian and the wonderful staff. They will make you feel good. PaneraBread.com. Food as it should be. There's something for everyone. For more, go to PaneraBread.com as well. Visit them at 6255 College Drive in Harborview and give them a call at 483-3670. You'll see the difference at Panera Bread in Harborview. This whole online ordering thing, you see all these parking spots designated for people that are ordering online, but most of the time they're still empty. That hasn't evolved as much as you think. People still like to buy their own groceries.
Yeah, you're right. They like to be able to feel especially fruits and vegetables. They want to be able to have that kind of control. But it is something that we have done, and we do the Walmart grocery shopping, and so we do the pickup, and so far we've had great experience with it. But you're right, and honestly, I think that that's kind of the direction that it's going to be, where you're going to have. That's how these department stores or these major businesses like Walmart and
in general.
Yeah, it's just like those bigger grocery stores or stores in general are going to keep up with the internet and competing with Amazon and online shopping. Is you're going to be able to purchase the item online and either have it shipped to you or you can pick it up. And I think that's kind of the direction that they're going in, as opposed to you going inside, finding parking, trying to struggle with all that, and then going in and trying to look through every aisle to find out where is what I'm trying to find.
And more people are paying by credit card. You're not seeing as much cash anymore either.
Exactly. Yeah, it's the same thing. You just sliding the card or just having your computer remember the numbers, your expiration date, the CVS number on the back.
Besides Amazon, do you order a lot from apps in general?
Not really. No, not so much with apps.
Very good. I want to thank our good friends at Outback in Kempsville, Mike and the staff. Spacious, nice dining area, great bar, lunch and dinner daily. Go by and take a break from the holiday cooking night. Go by Outback Steakhouse at 1255 Fordham Drive in Virginia Beach. Give them a call at 523-4832. Excellent burgers, steaks, soups, salads, appetizers, pasta, chicken, ribs, chops, desserts, beverages, dine-in, and carry-out at Outback Steakhouse in Kempsville. Give them a call at 523-4832 as well. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I'm most thankful for my family and friends who are in town, of course, and look forward to Thanksgiving tomorrow, but we should be thankful every day. Isn't that right, Joe Daniel?
Absolutely.
I want to thank our great guests as well, Jim Ducibella, as well as Tony Checchio as well from 757 Sports Collectibles. For more, go to gjbtv.com, hit the YouTube link, at Greg Bick on Twitter, GREGBIC. For Joe Daniel, I'm Greg Bicouvaris. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you soon.
AM 1650 WHKT Portsmouth, 92.5 FM W223CT Norfolk. For your daily supply of news and talk, we are the answer.